All right, we get
How we
ready for
doing?
questions. Start right here,
Awesome.
front left, James.
Tony, you know you're going to have to replace over 1,600 snaps from last season
Yeah.
and have a younger group, but most everybody was returning guys. So, what do you see in the challenge of restocking and reloading your room when it is mainly returning guys this offseason?
Yeah, I think when you do things the right way and our guys come here and they play and they produce, they get opportunities to go on to the next level, whether they're going to leave early or whether it's by graduation, and you're doing it the right way, we should have it like this. And we got talent, excited about the talent that we have in the room, but just the experience is what we need to come along with them. So really love the young guys. Like we really didn't have a lot of reps for guys like Tion Gray, Terrence Green, but those guys are capably well enough to play for us up front last year. But we just had Derek and JC that were really, really good. But these guys here are definitely guys that can make plays. Obviously, Amari Washington has been having a great spring, and he's a guy that's going to carry a lot of the load for us too as well. Then adding Bear, he's so twitchy, he's powerful, he's strong. He adds another layer for us to be able to have a player that can create havoc plays, just like DJ did for us, and be able to get after the quarterback too as well.
Front right, Zach.
Just more about Bear. How have you seen him kind of fit in the locker room, kind of add to the culture here, and then his production on the field too?
Yeah, it started off very quiet, very reserved, but he reminds me a lot of how Birch was, how Jamari Caldwell was when they first got here, and slowly they start opening up. Once they feel more comfortable with the brotherhood we have here. But he's been great. It's been awesome in the building, coming up, getting extra meetings. He's doing all the right things. So taking in coaching, he's been accountable to his teammates, and so excited about where he's at right now. Obviously, he's kind of drinking out of a fire hose a little bit, just kind of learning the system, but that's what spring ball's for. So just excited about his growth, and he's been at practice every day, not missing any reps, and just excited to see what he's going to be able to do for us this year.
On the left, Eric.
I guess maybe with Amari, where have you seen the growth the most, and is he ready for this moment?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Mari. I think his best football is still in front of him. For a guy that's his size, that's twitchy, that's powerful, he's got very strong hands at dominating the run game, but he also can rush the passer. And he showed that last year that he had the ability to do that. And now he's got, all the reps. You look back and you look at the amount of reps that Harmon got and Caldwell got, and you add that to Mari's reps that he's going to be dependent on this year. I expect Mari to be able to have a big season for us, and he's got to. And he's really done a good job in this offseason, just kind of taking on the leadership role. He's the older guy in the room now, and he's doing a really good job just kind of leading by example and bringing guys along with him.
Third row on the right, Chris.
You have that large group of redshirt freshmen. I'm just wondering, from that group, who's really stood out for you this spring, and what are you expecting from those four going into the season?
Yeah, Tion Gray is a big, powerful man. He's all of 6'6", 345 pounds. And he's a guy that can command four hands. And when you're looking for a defensive lineman in the run game, especially in this conference, you want to have big bodies that can take on double teams and be able to play combination blocks. And I'm really excited about what he's able to do. The last practice, we had a goal line period. He made a big time TFL play for us. Another guy that's really had a really good spring for us so far has been Jericho Johnson. Really good job of being able to attack the line of scrimmage, and he's been showing up time and time again in practice. So really excited about his development. Aiden Breland has been doing a really good job for us. He's been playing defensive end, sliding him down, playing defensive tackle, like we did with Brandon Dorless. Very similar, but he's longer. He's all of 295, but he's been able to show up for us a lot, and he's a guy that can play on the edge in the run game, first, second down, slide him inside on third down, and be able to take advantage of lesser athletes at that guard position because he definitely can rush. And really, towards the end of the season, Aiden Breland was probably like our best interior pass rusher, really coming along. So excited about what he's able to do for us. Ashton Porter, another player for us that didn't play a lot of reps, but he's been having a good spring for us too as well. So we're kind of relying on, Aiden Ashton Porter to be able to help out. We're losing Birch. Mateo's taking a lot of those reps there. But just being able to have some extra guys there to be able to take those reps to as well is going to be big for us.
Front right, Zach.
Looks like, excuse me, looks like Elijah has put on some weight this year. Looks like he's kind of filled out. Do you know how much bigger he is than he was last year? And what have you seen from him so far this year?
Elijah's done a great job just putting not only weight, but just lean muscle to his frame. He's got a really big frame. He's got broad shoulders. Elijah's come and, early on has been able to show in practice, not necessarily in the games because he didn't have the opportunity to do so to be able to pass rush, but he's improved a lot in the run game, doing a lot better job of being able to strike and play with his hands. But very similar body type with Mateo. So those guys are going to be able to take a lot of those reps. So at that position, you got Mateo, you got Elijah, they're all similar body types, Aiden Breland, Ashton Porter. So all those type of guys are guys that, were the same position where Birch was at, where Brandon Dorlis was at. So I'm excited about what Elijah is able to do and the amount of weight he's been able to put on. Easily 15, 20 pounds. I think his frame, he can hold more too.
Second row on the left, Eric.
Coach, you mentioned Tiona is like 345. He's not the only one around that size. I'm wondering with Terrence and he and Jericho, like are they athletic enough to play together? Could there be situations where you see that, or just kind of are those guys strictly nose tackle?
Yeah, no, they're athletic enough to play together. Terrence Green is another large human being that's 6'6". They're both about 345. We go back and look at like how much weight can they lose. They're just big. They're just big humans, and they can carry that weight. So it's hard to find those kind of men and be able to play that position. And we're fortunate enough to have them in there. But they also can provide that interior pass rush that we need to as well. With their long hands and long levers, they can put their hands up there and make it really difficult for quarterbacks to get balls off. So we can get some batted balls too as well if they can't get to the quarterback.
Tyson in the middle.
What's it like seeing your son now as a veteran of this team, as an upperclassman? And I'm curious if the off season or spring football gives you any more time to be more of a traditional football dad to him instead of a coach.
Yeah, it's I can't believe it's going into his third season here. He just had a birthday a couple of days ago and just turned 20, and just kind of going back as a dad, and just I'm just amazed that he's just been here since day one, worked really hard. He was 215 when he first came. He's about 270 now. And, you got guys like Wilson Love and the strength coaches that have really poured into him. Just taking my hat off as a coach and just as a dad. There's no better place than having your son at a place here like at Oregon, where you got the best resources, you got the best coaches in the country. You got a defensive head coach that's coached the #1 draft pick in his position. You got a defensive coordinator that's a defensive line coach that's also coaching his position. And it's just awesome just to be able to see him and just grow as a leader, and, working with Mateo and the rest of the group. Just really proud of him and just the work that he's putting in. So.
Back left, Matt.
When you guys scrimmage on Saturday and you get back into the office and start watching film, what are you looking for your unit to feel good about what you guys did?
Yeah, I have a picture that I show to our group every day, and it's really the construction that's happening outside. And keep reminding our guys that we're always constantly under construction, like we all are. We're not where we want to be at. We're constantly building, and just having that mindset of good, better, best. When we go into the scrimmage, obviously we're not going to be where we want to, but if we can just show incremental improvements on the things that we want to get better at, striking and dominating at the line of scrimmage, being able to affect the quarterback in the pass game, and then just playing with relentless effort like Coach Toss preaches all the time. We talk about 6 A to B plus 2. If that shows up for us each and every play, we're getting closer and closer to where we want to be at. But even after Saturday scrimmage, we're still under construction. We still got to get better. So that's our mindset.
Two more, Zach on the right.
Feels like there's a lot of pressure on Mateo to kind of build on his season last year. Do you think he feels that? And if so, how do you think he's kind of handled that and attacked that pressure?
Yeah, I think anybody that knows Mateo, like, he doesn't really feel pressure. His approach and his process, he works so hard and he trains. And so he's got complete confidence in his skill and what he can do. I think pressure is a privilege. And all our guys, they come here to Oregon because of that. We don't shy away from pressure. We understand that to be great, we got to work hard. And every single day, that's what we try to strive to do. In practice, Coach Lanning pushes us each and every day. And for somebody like Mateo, he's always even kill. He's never too high. He's never too low. He's always consistent. But one thing about him, he's going to show up every time, especially when we need plays. Like last year, we needed to have plays. Mateo's going to show up. Wisconsin game, he showed up and made a interception at the end. It was third down in the low red zone. He's going to show up and make a sack for us. So I'm just proud of his development too as well. You know, I look back at him and Tatum. They both came in as, young 18-year-old kids, and see them now be leaders of this team. Just super proud of Tail and his process, and we're going to need him to be his best. For us to go where we want to go to.
Last question, James.
The two-parter on unheralded aspects, Tony. One, heard a lot in the pre-draft process about what JC was doing in terms of line calls. So who takes on some of those responsibilities of the actual calls up front when Jamari was doing that? And secondly, more personal to you, you feel like you get enough credit because after this draft, you'll have had 5 interior D linemen drafted over the last 3 years. I think 8 or 9 when you add the UDFAs. There are not too many interior D line coaches in the country going to be able to say that. Do you feel like you've gotten enough credit for what you've already accomplished here as a defensive end?
I don't really even think about that, to be honest. As a coach, my mentality is always to be a servant, to the players that I coach with. It's such a blessing to be here. Just thinking about it today, over 20 years of coaching ball, we have a coaches clinic here this weekend, and I'm just so mindful of like my own process. Like 20 years ago, I was a high school football coach. 20 years ago, I was working for America West Airline as a ramper, throwing bags in the airplane. And every time we go travel, like I look outside and I'm just mindful of like, shoot, that's part of my journey, and definitely enjoy that. But I'm just glad that we're here at a place like Oregon where we're going to produce, some of the best players in the country to be able to go out and play in the NFL. And I'm truly grateful for this opportunity, but it's never about me, it's about the players. And I've been blessed to be around some great players that, have using their God-given ability and trusted us as coaches to push them. And that's our job, to be able to push them to be the best version of them. So just happy and glad to be here for this opportunity.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right. Appreciate you guys.